When we hold it in, we then project it at other people because we don't know what to do with it. So if you're yelling at your spouse or you're yelling at your friends or whatever it is, or you're like me in college, Tequila Tina, she's projecting. And so it was like, I did a lot of evolution since then. You're going to project it out at other people because you don't want to hold on to it. Your body doesn't want to hold it. And so you're just throwing it at whatever else will stick. And at the end of the day, it's like we have to be able to create safe spaces, whether it's leaning into healers, coaches, or doing it yourself to release it so that we're not projecting at the people we love.
Welcome to the Who You Know Show by Clear Path Wealth Strategies, where what you know is important, but who you know can make all the difference in your wealth, health, business, career, relationships, and definitely in your life. I'm your host, Trevor Houston, and on today's episode, it's all about unlocking your soul's alignment and mastering your emotions to remove limiting beliefs and achieve success. Have you ever felt like something was holding you back, no matter how hard you tried? Or maybe you're ready to step into your true purpose, but don't know how to fully embrace it. Well, today we're sitting down with Christina Deering, a human healer and business intuitive who's known for helping people clear more limiting beliefs and trauma in one healing session than in decades of therapy. As host of the Top 10 podcast, You Unlimited, Christina is a trailblazer in soul alignment and emotional mastery. So, Christina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, before we get started, we were talking about doing some grounding,
Yes.
Talk to me about what grounding is,
Yes.
why it's important, and then let's walk the audience through this exercise. We're going to do it right here on the show.
Let's do it. So grounding is really, really powerful because sometimes if you've ever noticed yourself in a situation where you're like, I'm totally disassociating, I'm not in the room, grounding allows you to really align with your body. So I'd love to actually guide us through that exercise. I think it's going to be really powerful for us to just drop down into our body, and it's going to have you feel really aligned, mind, body, and spirit.
This is good because I've been in situations where there's a lot going on, and it is sometimes, you're trying to get this going, get that going, sometimes it can be hard to be present, especially if you're hosting an event. I've done that where my mind's all over the place and it's hard for me to be present with the people I've invited out.
Totally. Yeah. And then you step out and you're like, oops, oh my gosh, the whole thing that I've been building towards, I'm not even here for it. You want to be there for the people that you're trying to serve.
I love that. Okay, cool. So let's do this. So let's walk us through grounding.
Yeah, amazing. So if you're driving, maybe don't do this, but I invite you to, you could maybe do it with your eyes open, but if you're not driving, close your eyes. Just start to feel into your body. Inviting your soul back down into your body. It might sound weird, but just invite your soul back down into your body, getting into that aligned state. Taking that big, deep inhale through the nose all the way down to the soles of your feet. Just grounding into the present moment. Deep exhale out of the mouth. Just releasing any worries. Anything that may be taking you out of the present moment, just go ahead and release that with every exhale. Another big, deep inhale through the nose, opening up all the cells of your body, calling in peace and calm all the way down to the tips of your toes. Deep exhale again out of the mouth. Just releasing anything out of alignment with that. And then one more big, deep inhale through the nose all the way down again to the tips of your toes, calling in peace and calm into every single cell of your body. Deep exhale again out of the mouth. With your eyes still closed, asking God, source, universe, whatever it is that you believe in, allow us to be conduits for the messages and the healing that people most desire to receive today. That deep reminder, it's not about me, it's not about us, right? Just allowing you to drop down into your body. How can I serve? Allowing your ego to kind of be placed to the side and allowing yourself to be a vessel of service. As you begin to breathe that in again through the nose, all the way down to the soles of your feet. And then a deep exhale out of the mouth. sending that intention into your auric field, magnetizing in more and more experiences that are in alignment with that. Slowly beginning to move your fingers and toes. Slowly beginning to flutter your eyes open as you drop back into the here and now.
That was cool.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's so cool. Okay. So, all right. How did you get into all of this? Like, let's just go back.
Yes.
Because, talk to me. How'd you get into all of this?
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. So I was a sorority girl turned shaman. So it's a very interesting path that I walked. But I remember in, 2019, I just had this like really big spiritual awakening where I was like, I'm just not happy in my job and I don't know what the next thing is. Like, I just know that I want to retire. I'm like, this is when I first started, actually way before 2019, first got into the workforce, and I'm like, I'm 22 and I want to retire. Like, that's a problem. Like, I need to like figure out what else I want to do, So I remember being like, like if I want to retire now, like I'm clearly in the wrong business, but I stuck it out for 15 years, kept climbing the corporate ladder. I was in marketing for a very long time and made it to, the highest level. And I just remember being like, okay, again, like something's got to give. Like I feel like I need to do something else. And I actually ended up, it was kind of a wild story. One of my friends was like very spiritual and she's like, you need to go see this psychic. Like, she'll help guide you. She helps you like see into the future. And I'm like, I will do anything to try and figure out like what I'm supposed to do because I'm not happy. I need to figure out what it is that I want to do. So I'm like, sure. So I make this appointment 9 months in advance because she's so booked out. And I'm like, well, clearly this lady's onto something. So I make the appointment. And then on the day that it lands, I had to put my dog down. And I remember being like, ugh. So I reached out to her. I'm like, hey, I just had to put my puppy down. Like, I don't know if I need to be in the right mindset. I've never done this before. Like, you tell me what do I need? Do I need to reschedule? And she's like, it's totally up to you. But I have a contract with the universe that says these appointments land on the days that you need them most. And I was like, well, something is clearly there for me. Okay. So I'm like, I got to go. So I walk in the door and, the first thing she says to me is, Lady wasn't a puppy, right? My dog's name was Lady. Lady wasn't a puppy, right? She was 14 and a half. And I was like, like my arm hair was like sticking straight up. I'm like, yes. She's like, she's got some messages for you. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? So I walk in and she's got this like full piece of paper front and back. And it's like the most detailed, specific. I mean, you can't Google this stuff, like so specific. And she's like, these are the messages from Lady, and I want to share with you what the other messages from your angels and guides that are coming through. Feel into your body. Does this resonate with you? Blah, blah, blah. So I left that session suddenly realizing like, okay, the thing that scared me the most, which was losing someone that I loved to death, right? The thing that scared me the most, I realized our relationship wasn't ending. It was changing form. And I was like, there is something on the other side and I want to unpack that and I want to better understand it. And so it kind of set me on this like journey of it, just kind of cracked me wide open to being like, I'm curious, like I want to learn more. And so I just started learning more out of pure curiosity. And then I got really good at it. And then people would ask me questions about it. And then I started healing other people and reading other people. And it just became like suddenly my passion. And then now here we are today, I'm doing it full time and I absolutely love it. And I feel so grateful that I had that experience, even though it was so hard, because it brought me into my purpose. Yeah.
Wow, that's a really interesting story. So she knew all about the dog and everything?
How she passed away. I mean, it was 4 things that happened. It was like she passed out. She had an underlying GI issue. She had an allergic reaction. She had pneumonia. And I'm like, you can't guess that, right. And she knew it all. And then all these specific messages from her, it was crazy and powerful. Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about a soul-aligned business.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me what that means. What's that definition for you? And how can entrepreneurs build from that place of alignment? And tell me, what is a soul-aligned business?
I love that question. So soul-aligned business means so when I first got out of corporate, I started building my business in alignment with what my coach was telling me to do. Now, I think there's a place where it's absolutely lean into mentorship. Like, I'm a mentor for a lot of people that are building 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneur or 8-figure businesses. But here's the thing is I was building it in alignment with what she was telling me to do versus building it in alignment with my intuition. And the way that I describe that is like if someone is a night owl and they're making, 8 figures doing that, and they're taking all their appointments at like 8, 9 o'clock p.m., you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, apparently that works. She's making 8, 9 figures doing that. Like, let me do that. And so then I schedule all my calls at night and I'm like, why am I exhausted? I don't want to show up for my clients. I don't want to do this. It feels like I've built someone else's dream. I'm checking someone else's boxes. And so building an alignment with your soul is starting to really optimize your energy, optimize what feels good to you, optimize your vitality so that you have the, energy to not only ideate, but scale and maintain that level of your business as well. Does that make sense?
It does make sense because you can get burnt out
so quickly.
Yeah. And I have found myself in stages of burnout.
Me too.
Where I'm doing the same thing and things feel like Groundhog's Day.
Totally. Yeah.
I have to try to keep myself interested in this podcast, to be honest with you, because I've been doing it for 6 years.
Yep.
Done over 500 episodes. And I'm actually in the process right now of trying to recreate it because honestly, I got a little bit bored.
And you're following your energy because there's an expansion in there for you. I think that's what's so powerful is like sometimes we get a little bit complacent or we just kind of like keep doing the thing. And it's like people lean in based on energy. People purchase based on energy. They lean in based on energy. So if we're not energetically aligned with it, other people are not going to purchase. They're not going to lean in as much as they would if we were like, this lights me up. Like, and people are like, well, I want a piece of that. I don't even know what you're talking about, but I want to buy it or I want to lean in. Like that's how wealth works too. Like, you think about it, it's so interesting. You think about, a free masterclass that you might sign up for. I do this all the time where I'm like, oh, that masterclass sounds fun. Let me do that. And then I also will then sign up for a 10K in-person event. And I'll probably double book when the masterclass was. I probably won't show up. I may or may not show up. And then when I think about the 10K masterclass or the 10K in-person event, I'm like, there early. I'm networking. I'm in the front row. I'm taking notes. And that's because I put my energy into that versus a free masterclass. I have no energy in it. You know what I mean?
The more you pay, the more you pay attention.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. That's so true.
Yep. The more you pay, the more you pay attention. And
absolutely.
Yeah, free does not all. I mean, you get what you pay for.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could be the same information.
Exactly.
But you aren't showing up.
Right.
Right. Knowledge isn't power.
Your energy. Yes.
It's the application of knowledge that's power.
Yes.
We all know how to lose weight.
Yes.
But why are there so many overweight people?
Right.
Right. We got a obesity problem. It's because people aren't doing the things.
Right.
Right. And so free does not mean it's better. It could be the exact same knowledge, but the thing that's missing with free is application.
Totally. Yeah. It's like you're so right. It could be the exact same thing. And so it's the idea of like, where do I as a consumer want to put my energy in? That's why we want to price it in a way that will expand our client, right? Like we don't want to be like, let me think about what they can afford right now. We want to price it in a way that expands them so that they step into it. It kind of lights the fire under their butt so they show up differently for whatever it is that they're wanting to expand into. And then we also have to think about, as the person who's setting the price point, what would have you fully step in with both feet and serve at your highest capacity? So you also have to think about how you're pricing in that way. Because I see this all the time. People are like, I'm so gifted. Or they don't say I'm so gifted, but it's a gift. And then they think, oh, I should just give it away. It's so easy for me. And it's like, well, now you're in corporate and you're doing this on the side and you're a mom and you're doing the center splits and everything. And it's not the best of you in any room you're stepping into. So we have to be able to price so that you can fully step in and serve the way that you desire to serve.
That is so good. So at a price point where you step in and you're like, okay, if they gave me $10,000 or $20,000 or whatever, you're like, I better show up.
I better show up.
Like,
and I want to be prepared and I want to be present and I am going to give you the best of me in this moment.
I've got to provide the most resources, the most value. I got to make sure it really resonates and that you are going to get that transformation, and that will in turn make sure that they do get that transformation. If they apply, obviously they have to apply to take action. But no, that's really, really good. No, that's really good. So again, back to the soul aligned. How does one understand if they're out of alignment? Is it just being low energy? If you're low energy, or are there other signs that let you know that you're not really aligned?
Yeah, so I love using my body as a way of connecting to, am I in alignment with a decision, let's say even a decision, or am I not? So what I like to do is I like to, let's say I have a decision. I like to then say, does that feel expansive in my body? Like, do I want to lean in? Do I feel excited? Do I feel like, like there's some like, ooh, some lean in energy? Or do I feel some constriction in my body that's kind of like okay, this person looks great on paper, but like, it's not really my person. Like we get that with dating, right? Like I think sometimes we forget about that in business, but it's like, we know that we could go on the perfect date and be like, this person is just not my person though, and it's like, that's okay. Like, let that be okay. Cause like when we release them back, then they can find their soulmate. We can find our soulmate. And it just because it looks good on paper doesn't necessarily mean it's in alignment with our soul. So we really do have to tap into, how does this feel in my body? Do I feel expanded? Do I want to lean in? Or do I feel some constriction around like saying yes? Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because this past year and a half, I've been dating, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
You see all the dating profile, and you're like, oh, they've got everything. It's like it's like a resume.
Yes.
You're like,
yeah.
Checkbox, checkbox,
Yes.
checkbox, checkbox.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. Then you go meet them in person, and it's like the vibe ain't there. You're like,
you can tell.
Oh.
Yes, I know.
You got it all on paper, but
exactly. But it's the energy. Do I want to hang out with this energy for the rest of my life? Do I want to show up to my business the rest of my life? And granted, we sell our businesses and we do other things, but it's the idea of like, what's going to have you fully lean in and immerse yourself and want to create and build and get excited about the next step in relationships and business.
Yeah. Okay. So that goes back to also kind of energy, right? That vibe is the vibe, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's shift now to clearing out limiting beliefs, because you have a lot of people that come to work with you, and in a single session, you're able to help them break some things, some chains. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So it's really powerful because I think sometimes, and therapy's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I love therapy. I have a therapist. But sometimes in therapy, we're just talking about it. And sometimes when we talk about things, we're adding energy into it versus like, let's go to the root of it and let's uproot it so that it's no longer a thing.
Okay.
So,
love that.
yeah. So, and sometimes we don't actually know what the thing is, right? Because we've buried it in our subconscious. I know this, and I know if you're listening in, you know this too, is there's probably things that happen in our childhood that we can't remember. And so there's certain things that is like, I don't know why I have such a hard time with money. I don't know why I have such a hard time dating or finding my soulmate or whatever it might be. And sometimes it's because we have these deep-rooted limiting beliefs that we don't even know where they're coming from. That a tool like the Akashic Records is going to be a really, really powerful tool that helps me then become a translator for where is this energy living.
What is what records?
Yeah. Okay. The Akashic Records is basically a record of your entire soul's existence. And so I know it's kind of, we're going woo here for a minute.
Do we chat GPT this, or where do I find it? Like,
that would be crazy. Let's see. Chat GPT, tap into my Akashic Records, see what happens. That would be a wild one. Let's see what happens, y'all. I'm going to actually probably do this after that. It's pretty cool. It's a very intuitive process where I just kind of let myself be a channel for the messages that your soul is desiring for you to know. And so the thing that's really cool about that is then I bring down the information. I'm receiving information where I'm saying, okay, here's what I'm receiving. How does that feel in your body? Your body will always know your truth. Always. So when I bring down information and I share this with a client, sometimes they'll have a somatic release happen immediately where they'll just start crying, or they'll just be like, oh my God, I feel like a huge boulder is like releasing right now that you're saying. I totally forgot about that. Or man, I just feel like shaking my body. I'm like, shake your body. Let's start to move it. So here's the thing is we have to go in, find where it's been living. So is it in this lifetime? For those that believe in past lifetimes, we could go there too. But it's really, really powerful about being able to uproot where is this living, but then we use other modalities to move the energy. So instead of just talking about the money block or I can't figure out my finances, let's figure out where it's living. Let's uproot it so that you no longer even associate with that story any longer.
Okay. I got to ask you a question. Okay, just came to me.
Let's go.
So how does all of this, because I noticed in the beginning you said something about, God, the universe, like whatever you call it, right? How does this fit in with somebody that has faith, that does believe in God and Jesus and all of that? Do you get a lot of Christians that come to see you, or different faiths and backgrounds? I mean, like how does that fit in?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of the above. You know what I mean? So I believe in God, source, universe. I believe in Jesus. Like Jesus, I believe is an ascended master that was a master of his time in healing. And it's like you can still connect to Jesus and say, help me, support me. Like, how can I move through this really tough time in my life right now? Right. And then we start to receive guidance. Right. I'm sure if we're praying and we're, you know, however it is that you're connecting, these are just different words, channeling, praying. Like, I think it's just different words, but essentially we're doing the exact same thing. So I think it's really, really powerful.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, there's some things in Christianity, you know, when you're praying and, you know, some people believe in speaking in tongues and you know, there's a lot of stuff there too. So that's why I was just trying to figure out how does it mesh and how does it connect, or if it did at all. That was kind of my question.
I love it. It absolutely does. And I think our truth evolves as we evolve. And so I'm always of the belief where it's like, this is my truth until, let's say, I learn something new and I'm like, well, I can't unsee that. So apparently this is my truth now. You know, you just can tell when something deeply resonates with your body. And so I think what's really powerful is believe what you believe and allow that to be a catalyst for whatever it is that is going to support you the most in breaking through something. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's really powerful when we have beliefs. I think when we believe in a higher power, that's the thing that can ultimately, above all else, help us connect to our next greatest version of ourselves, however we break through that.
I agree with that. Faith and belief are extremely important to me, and I've seen massive transformation in my life through having faith and belief in God and Jesus, and even just something like, I remember when I was in the automotive industry and I was selling cars, and I remember it was my very first year there, and they told me that I was number 2, and this is my first year, and they were like, "Hey, good job," and they gave me a pat on the back. They're like, "Keep going, you're in second place." And that belief, all of a sudden, I was like, "Wait a minute, like I can be number 1." Like I was in second place, but I was like, "This is my first year." I was so much of a failure in my life, you know what I mean? Like never was good at anything, and now all of a sudden I'm in second place, and I just got here. Wow, it triggered a belief that I could be number 1.
Yes.
And once I knew I could, I was. There was no stopping me. It was like once I knew I could do it, there was no stopping me.
Right.
So having a belief, I think, is so important.
Yeah.
So I had another question I was going to ask you that was kind of a little bit off. It'll come back to me. You know how if you have one of those brain farts and you stop thinking about it, it'll come back?
Always.
So
it'll come back.
It'll come back to me in a second.
Yeah.
But we'll move on. Let's talk about emotional mastery. I know that's another topic you speak on.
Yeah.
What is emotional mastery, and how does someone achieve it?
Yeah. So I used to think emotional mastery was like, don't feel your feelings, like don't cry. Like I was like, I think I spent 2 decades like not crying. You know, like I was just like prided myself on that. And then my dog passed away and I just did not stop crying. I was like, this is so hard. This is, you know. And I realized I had so much stored within the cells of my body that I just didn't feel. Emotions are simply trying to tell us something so that we move it, so that we can get the wisdom underneath it. And when we don't feel our emotions, they become stored in our body, and then they start to calcify, and then they show up on MRI scans, right? It's unfelt emotions in a certain area of the body. So wherever it is, the body is telling the story of the soul, right? And so what I started to recognize was, okay, if I can start to actually witness my emotions, start to move the emotion, then I can get to the wisdom underneath it. What is it trying to tell me? Because when I get triggered, the thing that I think about is so often we get triggered and we focus so much on the trigger itself. And it's like, no, a trigger to me, when I think about it, is you interacted with a pan that was already hot. Like you touched it and you were like, ouch. Like, what was that about? It's not the interaction. It's why was the pan already hot? What's the root of it? Let's go deeper. What's the wisdom from that experience? What is it trying to tell you? This is your next greatest breakthrough, right? And so it's like, amazing. So if this is triggering me, this is holding me back from my peace, from the next level version of me. This is actually coming through because I can't take this with me to the next level version of me. I have to start to release that. And so now I started to really tap into different modalities that help me move the energy around my feelings. So emotional mastery is really about feeling your feelings so that you can get to the wisdom underneath it, and then integrating that and then moving forward in your life. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
So getting to the root cause,
Mm-hmm.
because, okay, I got some trauma.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Same.
Listen, I
Yeah.
got some trauma.
Yeah, we all do.
And I know where a lot of my stuff comes from. I
Mhm.
know what it is.
Yeah.
How do I get rid of it? Because it's still there.
Yeah.
Like, how do I, because you're talking about, like, knowing what the issue is.
Mhm.
This is why people always said, hey, you should go to therapy. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Because they're just
Mhm.
going to tell me what I already know.
Exactly.
Tell me how to fix it.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're just gonna tell me, hey, you had this childhood and it did this, that, and the other, I know that
Exactly.
already.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. We got to figure out where it's living in your body so that we can start to move that energy. And so that's what I find so fun about each of my sessions is I am connected to, let's say, your soul. Like I'm connected to like, what does your soul want you as a human being right now, soul having a human experience, want you to know? How does your soul desire for you to move the energy? It's going to be different for you than it will be for someone else. So for you, it could be, okay, this is living in my solar plexus where I find my personal power. Like I have this story that mom doesn't love me. And so now it's in my solar plexus. So every time I go to date someone, it's like a self-worth thing or whatever it is. Or let's say, do I have safety around money? Like then it's living in the root, right? So it's about moving the energy wherever it's living in the body through different modalities like breath work, through Reiki, through all of these different ways of actually uprooting and releasing the energy. Somatic healing is really powerful because what it's doing is it's saying, let's open up the cells of your body and start to release the old coding that's been there that you're operating from. Like we think about like there's all these stories that we kind of just collect as if it's like we're an iPhone and then we get an upgrade and an upgrade and an upgrade. Sometimes the upgrades aren't in our highest good, right? It's like we're getting these quote unquote upgrades, but really they're limiting beliefs from mom, dad, nanny, friends, teachers. And then it's like some of these are viruses. Can I rework some of these like codes that I received? Can I release some of these codes? Like I don't need these anymore. It's not helping me operate the way that I know that I want to, but I can't figure out how to operate differently. We have to just rework those codes.
Okay, so for someone who's listening, okay, because I can already hear some thoughts. Okay, so if someone that's listening that may be thinking that there's some woo woo up in here, right? With the woo, no, hear me out. With that, can you point out some things that people do all the time that help their energy? Like, for instance, like I do the ice bath. I do breath work, right? These are some things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like these help your energy.
Yes.
What are some other things that you might point out to be like, dude, you're already doing this kind of stuff. Like, let me break it down to your level, right?
Yeah.
And then say, here's what else we could add to, some other things that we could add to that would help you bring closer to.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the food we're eating. Like the food we're eating is a certain vibration, right? Like when you eat fruit or you eat a whole food, you feel different in your body than when you go to Whataburger and eat like a burger and fries and all that stuff. Like there's different frequency and energy in the foods that we eat. So you can tell immediately when you're consuming something, when you're putting it into your body, you feel a certain way afterwards, right? And so when we think about the different foods we're putting in, what are we coding in? What are we telling ourselves all the time? What's the internal dialogue? That's another way, another energetic thing that we're coding into our body. We're reinforcing all the time.
So positive words of affirmation, saying the I am statements,
yes.
I am powerful, I am strong.
Yes, but those will only take you to a certain degree as long as you believe them. So that's where we have to go a little bit deeper. That says like, because sometimes we're like, I am worthy. And then you're like, but not that time that dad left, in the back of our head. We're like, I am powerful, but not the time that guy broke up with me or whatever it is, where it's like, we're saying it, but we have to believe it. That's where that deep healing work is life-changing because we have to understand where the belief's coming from. Let's uproot them. Let's release them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Can I ask what your morning routine looks like?
Sure. So I have a son. So my morning routine has gotten a lot smaller. And so my biggest thing is to do something kind of similar to what we did before we started the podcast.
Okay.
That's my number one non-negotiable. It's like this 5-minute energy reset. I'd love to gift it to anyone who's listening in that's like, I just need to clear my energy. I will cleanse and clear my energy. It's super easy. Just a white divine light to just move out everyone else's energy from the day before, right? Because we're interacting with people's energy all the time. We know that when we walk into a room and we're like, ugh, that person's energy is off. I don't want to hang out with them without them even saying a word, right? We sense energy. We're like, they're saying they're fine, but their body language is telling me they're not. That's you sensing energy. So we're connecting to other people's energies, and without us knowing it, we're taking that energy in, unless we're protecting our energy. So every single day, I clear my energy of everyone else's energy, including my low vibrational energy that I may have picked up the day before. And then I protect my energy, which says like I can feel another person's energy because that's a superpower. A lot of people can feel it. We want to know what this person's feeling, even if the words aren't lining up. Like we don't want to be tone deaf.
I don't think everybody has that.
Okay, it's something that we can dial up though.
Okay,
yeah,
for sure. Maybe. Okay, maybe some people have it at a higher level because like emotional intelligence, like being able to read the room. Some people just can't read the room. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
for sure.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's kind of like weightlifting. You have to build it up. You're going to start with the 5-pound dumbbells, and at some point you're like, all right, I'm good. I'm 30s, and then it's like easy to read the room versus like start where you can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I know what you mean too, where you're like, whoa.
Like,
hello. Like, let's read the room here a little bit.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So it's really important to then say, I can feel the energy, but I'm not going to take it in. It's not mine, right? So protecting your energy, that's my number one go-to is I will protect my energy every single day, morning routine, and clear my energy, and I ground myself. You can do all of this in 5 minutes because it's meant for high achievers. I work with all high-achieving men and women, and they're like, I don't have time for 30 minutes. I'm like, all right, you've got time for 5. So I created it 5 minutes, and it completely resets your whole day. And then at nighttime, my routine's very simple too. I am proud of myself for, and then I just start to take a look at what did I do today? Who was I being? And like, you start to collect evidence of your worth, of how valuable you are, of how you changed someone's day, how you were a miracle to someone that day. And it's really powerful, especially as a business owner. If you're trying to build and scale your business, you have to know that you bring value into every room that you walk into. So reiterate that to yourself every single day.
I love that. So that's different, but similar to, gratitude, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit different though, but I like it. I'm proud of myself today for. Like,
yes.
What am I proud of myself? What did I do today that I'm proud of?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I really do like that. It's a little bit different from gratitude, but you still, if you're proud of it, then you're grateful for it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. And it has you start to be like, I'm going to make that list tonight. All right. I'm going to change my mindset right here, right now. I'm proud of myself for that moment where I could have gone down a rabbit hole. I decided to make a mental shift.
That is so good.
Yeah.
And sometimes, how about this? How about adding this? Let me see if
go.
you like it.
Let's go.
So maybe I'm proud of myself. Just list those first. Okay. Let's say you come up with 5. You got 5 things on the list that you're proud of yourself for that day. And then going back and 1 through 10 in them, like this one I'm really proud of. This was a 10. Yeah, this was a 3. Like, yeah, I'm proud of myself, but it's kind of a 3. But that one, and that way when you go back, you can go look at your 10 moments.
Yes,
look at your really, really high moments. Like when were you really, really, really proud of yourself? What's the commonality, the common theme? What were you doing?
Yes.
Right? Is there a commonality?
Yes, I love that idea. It's powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, you like that?
And then on the 3s, you might be like, what could I have done a little bit differently? Like how could I have shifted a little bit today?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes you may be proud of yourself, but could you have done it better? Right?
Yeah. Or just like shifted your mindset a little bit around it or whatever that might look like. Yeah.
There's so many cool things like this. Like I really enjoy this conversation because like I do a lot of these little things myself. And I don't consider it woo-woo. I like, again, the ice bath for me, if I don't do the ice bath, I notice a massive change in my attitude, my energy.
Yes.
Like, so I built one and I do it every morning.
Love it.
Ice bath, working out. Again, if I don't do these things, that's why I asked what your morning routine was, because I have these certain things I do in my morning that if I don't, I've already kind of like given up on myself. Right. And like, I don't know. It just starts my day off wrong, and I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm cranky.
Yep.
I'm like a different person.
Totally.
I'm like,
I
don't
know.
talk to me.
I know. Yeah, same.
They're like-
That's why I do it in the morning too.
like, hey,
4:45.
Bro, did you get your ice bath today?
Exactly. Yeah. We need, instead of the Snickers, jump in your ice bath. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, it's kind of like that with me with coffee too. If I drink a lot. I probably drink way too much coffee. Be honest with you. I drink like 5 cups of coffee.
All right.
Probably not good.
Nice. Nice.
So
Whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works.
Yeah.
So I love that. What would you say to somebody when you're talking about emotional mastery?
Mm-hmm.
Like that one seems, the word mastery behind it kind of seems like, can you ever really master your emotions? I know you were talking about feeling them, but can you really ever, can you master that?
That's a great question. I feel like this entire lifetime is about learning, growing, and evolving. And so I actually, one time in this deep healing experience, channeled the message. It's like, we are all masterpieces exactly as we are with our unfinished edges. Like, we're expecting our edges to be finished before we can show up and do the thing that we want to do. It's like, we're still painting. We're still painting to our last day that we're here. So you are a masterpiece exactly as you are with your unfinished edges. So let yourself be exactly who you are and go after the thing that you want. Learn, grow, continue to paint. Learn from this stroke. Go over it this time. Do it differently next time. So I think there's a level of being like, you're a masterpiece exactly as you are right now. And you're going to continue to grow and evolve until the day that you pass.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, that's so beautiful. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you're constantly adapting and growing and learning as I mean, I remember I can think of a situation right now that if it would have been like 10 years ago, I'd have totally not handled it the same way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd have flew off the handle. I'd have been like, what?
Totally.
Been crazy.
Same. Yes.
And now I'm like, that was one of my proud moments where I wrote it down like, hey, I was proud of how I handled that.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's that evolution. Who knows how I would handle that same scenario in 10 more years, right? Maybe a little bit different.
Yes.
So how do you subscribe to this? I always tell my audience, like, if you're going through a moment that is devastating or crushing or like I have a lot of job seekers that I connect with and I get to serve them, and they're going through a season of their life where they feel rejected, they're running out of money, all these different things. They get depression, anxiety, stress, fear, and so I tell them, like, to feel it, to go through it.
Yes.
It is a loss to go through it, but feel it quickly. Give yourself a timeline. Like,
yes.
let's not, like, when you're going through hell, don't pitch a tent in hell.
Yes.
Right?
Don't unpack your bags there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, let's get through it. Do you subscribe to that, or do you, like, what would your recommendation be? Let's say somebody had a physical loss. Someone died in their family, right? Same thing, or do you say, hey, is it a little different, or what?
So I can speak from personal experience. So in the last year, I've had 3 miscarriages. Oh my gosh! And it was this has been the hardest year of my entire life, and I had to go through the depths of hell every single time to get to the wisdom and the insight and the gratitude on the other side. And it was so difficult. I was on my knees. I was like, tell me what to do. Like, Jesus, God, please tell me what to do. Like, I will do it. I like whatever it is that I need to. And just these moments where I was just completely on my knees. But I had to go through that to get to the other side. And I will tell you, on the 3rd one, I did have a moment where I was like, I know how this ends. I'm going to be fine. Let's move on, whatever. And I tried to really spiritually bypass that one. And I had this undercurrent of like depression and anxiety and frustration. And I wasn't really understanding why. And I'm like, why? Like, why do I feel this? And I'm like, oh, I haven't gone in it yet. I haven't let myself really feel this yet. I think I got to do it. And even though I didn't want to, I knew that I had to do it. And so for me, what that looked like was like a somatic release, like punch the pillow, like start to move the energy, scream, yell, whatever it is that you need to do. Like, I think we forget how it's so important to let that primal part of us be witnessed and seen and like released. You know, it's like living in there, and we're like, we have this top on it saying like, let's keep it in there like a soda pop that we've just shaken up, and then we're not letting it like release. So for me, and it wasn't until it was a month later that I let myself go to the depths of hell again, that I was like, I'm okay again. Like, I'm okay. But so I absolutely prescribe to that, which is like, don't unpack your bags there. Because I think that sometimes where people get stuck in, let's say, therapy or other things where they're like, you know, I've talked about it for a year now,
Right.
and I don't feel like I've gotten through it. Like, I feel like I'm just kind of adding more energy to it, because what we think about can sometimes get bigger. And so for me, it was all about that somatic movement, like really starting to connect to like, it's not fair. It doesn't feel good. I'm angry. Like, let every emotion release so that you can get to your actual truth.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I tell them that too. I've had moments in my life where I've been broken and been on the ground, punching the ground and
Do it.
screaming and just But there is when you get it out to that level, like, I mean, just tears, snot bubbles.
Yes.
Blah,
God, yes.
you
Let it
know.
rip. Yes. Full boxes of tissues.
Yeah,
You're just like, whatever. Yes.
Yeah, just get it out.
That's a somatic release.
You
The
have-
snot, the tears, all of it. You're actually letting the story come out of your body.
Absolutely.
The punching of the pillow, that energy is leaving your body
Yep.
so that you can connect to your wisdom underneath it.
And there is kind of a peace once it's done.
There is,
Once,
absolutely.
like literally
Yes, there's
moments
nothing
after.
left. There's nothing left.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yes.
give it everything.
Yes.
You just say, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and this is what I try to tell my audience. Like, hey, you're going through hell. Like, get it out.
Yes.
Scream, yell, cry.
Yes.
Like, cuss, whatever.
Yes.
I don't care. Like,
yes.
as long as you're not hurting anyone else.
Exactly. Because that's the thing. When we hold it in, we then project it at other people
Yep.
because we don't know what to do with it. So if you're yelling at your spouse or you're yelling at your friends or whatever it is, or you're like me in college, Tequila Tina, she's projecting, okay? She's projecting because she didn't know what to do with her feelings, right? And so it was like I did a lot of evolution since then. You're going to project it out at other people because you don't want to hold on to it. Your body doesn't want to hold it. And so you're just throwing it at whatever else will stick. And at the end of the day, it's like we have to be able to create safe spaces, whether it's leaning into healers, coaches, or doing it yourself to release it so that we're not projecting at the people we love. Yeah.
So, okay, does that also kind of go into resentment too? Like if you,
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes. 100%.
resenting is kind of like what builds resentment is like not telling the person or not addressing the issues. You're trying to sweep it under the rug.
Absolutely. And then you explode and they're like, I didn't do the one thing. What's that about?
Right.
And it's like, well, it's not the interacting with the pan. Why is the pan already hot? Again, it's already been hot. They had to do the one thing and that's what set you off.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you've been like keeping a tally on them. You're like,
just waiting. Yeah, I remember.
And then all of a sudden, like, boom.
Exactly.
It's like this big issue.
Yes.
And you're like, dude, I just, like, I didn't,
Yes.
I didn't put the seat down.
Exactly. I know, exactly. Yeah.
Like, it's not that big a deal.
I know, right? And then meanwhile, the counter is like covered in makeup and like all the things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yes. I get it. Yeah.
That's funny. Okay,
Yeah.
talk to me about quantum leaps and manifestation.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, to that point, just before we move on to,
sure.
so one of my mentors, Stephen Jaggers, he owns Somatic Breathwork. He talks about how when we're basically, a lot of us are at a stress level at like, we're full at capacity at 99% all the time. So if someone does the 1.5%, it throws us over the edge, right? If we can proactively start to release some of that stress, some of those stories, so it gets us down to 60, gets us down to 40, we have a bigger capacity to be able to hold the stressors, right? And not necessarily hold it, but let it move through us, where it's like, all right, I have more creative energy to be able to move through that experience. So that's why these healing modalities are really powerful, to not just use, you know, reactively, but proactively too, so that we aren't flying off the handle when the one thing happens.
That is so good. Let me tell you, I've never really thought of it like that. Like if you were a vessel, what's your, your stress that's going into the cup, how full is it?
Yes.
You said people are at 98% or something?
A lot of people are at 99, 98%. Like, and we don't know that, but it's like the one thing has us fly off the handle. That will tell you you were probably in the 90s, because then whatever it was took you over the edge.
And how much is this contributing to it?
Oh God, I can't even, like, so he's looking at his phone right now. I'm sure so much, because I notice for me how if I'm going to bed and I've just been scrolling for a little while, my brain is so wired for the next hour and a half versus like, because I've been looking at all these other stories and it's just plugging into so much energy.
Right.
Right? Like that's why part of my morning routine, actually, I didn't mention this before, is until I've grounded, I am not connecting to anyone else's energy, whether it's text messages, emails, whatever that is, social media. I can't let that energy in until I've protected my energy. So that's number one. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, because I've had times where it's like fresh in the morning, you go to your phone and you open it up and there's an email.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, not so great.
Throws your day off.
Yes, yeah, and
right?
you're like, uh-oh, here we go.
That email that you're just not able to handle. Right?
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. Okay, so that means I must be at 98%.
Right.
And then I looked at it and there was that 2% email.
Yeah, it took you over the edge. And you're like,
and
no.
it completely messes your whole day.
For sure.
And I think also right in the morning, like you're not fully able to handle that. So if you go straight to your phone, again, you're giving the world,
yes,
just the ability to distract you and just throw you off of your game. You haven't even got yourself right yet.
Yes.
So yeah, I totally prescribe to no phone in the morning.
Love it. Yeah, it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. How do we know if I'm 98%?
So, yeah, that's a great question. Usually if we haven't done some sort of modality to help clear out some of the stress, and we tend to, we're always on, like we have like a jam-packed schedule and we've got a lot of stuff going on and we're not doing a lot of things to help like ground us, release some of it, then you're probably in the 90s. If you're like in corporate America and your schedule is like, when do I pee today? Like I've got back-to-backs, like, oh my God, when do I eat? When do I pee?
And then you go home and you got the kids and you're making meals. And,
exactly. Yeah. You're probably in the 90s, And so it's like just noticing that, or if you fly off the handle or if something kind of takes you over an edge really quickly, then you're probably in the 90s. So just kind of notice how you're reacting to things. That would be a good indication to, one, let yourself heal through the reaction by doing some of those modalities we talked about, breath work being one of them, and proactively get ahead of it next time too.
What I love about this is because you're teaching like some healthy practices to release stress, and then there's also unhealthy practices to release stress, which we all know. There's drinking and drugs and smoking, and the eating too much.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Guilty of all of the above.
Yeah, me too.
Before, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Right? So this is just a replacement therapy.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like instead of eating that extra piece of cake. I like ice cream. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Okay, nice. I'm the salty. I'm like, give me the queso. Yeah.
I like ice cream.
Yeah.
It's my Achilles heel. I know.
Way too dang much. Yeah, that's fair.
But maybe the next time I go, there's a reason why I want that ice cream. I'm like, I want this ice cream.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to just do some breath work.
Let me know how that nets out. Yeah, let's see how that nets out. Yeah.
That's funny.
For sure.
Okay. Manifestation.
Yes.
I literally had somebody send me an email today, actually. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up. But they were asking me about manifestation. So maybe I can read a question directly from
fun.
The audience and see if
how aligned would that be? That they just happened to send something today?
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah, here it is.
Okay.
This is from Michael Pagano. He says, have you ever manifested anything? Have you ever willed something into existence for yourself? Have you ever written a quick something on manifestation in LinkedIn or elsewhere? He's basically just asking me if I've ever manifested anything for myself. And to answer your question, Michael Pagano, yes. Like earlier in the episode, I said, when I was number 2 in the auto industry, like, as soon as I saw number 1 possibility, I spoke that into existence. I said, I will be number 1. Like I was. And I was the top producer there 6 years in a row. But what about you? Tell me about manifestation. What's your thought process on this? How can we do more of it?
Yeah.
Is it like, hey, I am going to manifest a Lamborghini?
Okay, if that's what you want, yeah.
And like, bling.
Yeah, here you go. Ding, ding. Universe provides. First of all, we are manifesting 24/7. regardless of whether or not we think we're manifesting. So whatever it is that we're experiencing in our 3D reality, it is a collection of all of the thoughts that we've been thinking, all the beliefs that we have encoded in our body is what we've been experiencing. So when I think about, when I was in corporate, it's like overworked, underpaid because of the stories that I had in the cells of my body. And so it was very interesting. The second I started to move into entrepreneurship, heal all those stories, it was like, okay, that's not my story anymore. Okay, now I'm making 6 figures. Okay, now we're making more now. And it was so interesting when we think about when we're manifesting, the things that come easy to us is probably because some of the stories we received when we were younger, right? Like you see a happy couple, your mom and dad married, and then it's easy for you to manifest your partner, right? Or mom and dad have a great relationship with money, and then money is not so hard for you to come by because it's like there's ease that you experience when you were younger. Again, those are just codes that we started to pick up and say, that's mine. Apparently that's mine. But the same is true for the opposite, where it's like you hear mom and dad arguing over money, or no, we can't buy that at the grocery store, even if you need it, whatever that might be. That was kind of one of the stories that I grew up with. No, there's not enough. We only have X amount in the envelope this week. And so I remember being like, I had to do a lot of work around money in that in particular. And so it was just a very interesting process where I had to get really clear on what are my stories that I'm telling myself? What are my beliefs? And oh, by the way, what are the beliefs that are even deeper that I'm not even aware of? This is where my healer would go into my own Akashic records and tell me where are all the limiting beliefs around money, but also where is there a version of me that actually has it all figured out? Because I want to learn from her, right? This is us when we visualize a future version of ourselves. What is she doing? Is she on stage? Is she making 8 figures? Is she like, how does she work? What is she wearing? Like we start to really connect to what is that version of me doing, wearing? What is her state of being? What is the energy like? And then we bring that down into current version of ourselves. So the way that I always teach this is think about this as like an alter ego. Like who is a person that you really admire that's doing the thing that you really want to do? And what is the energy that they're dialing up? So like, how would this person do this thing? Would she wear this? Would she, and make it your own. But we think about the different dials that we start to bring up. When I think about, my alter ego for business is going to be a different alter ego that I put on for mom, right? Like I'm going to dial up compassion, presence, I'm going to dial certain things up, patience when I'm in mom mode, right? And when I think about alter ego there, I think about my grandmother, right? And so I'm like, oh, she was so present. There was laughter. Everything was funny. Like, the internal dialogue that I had from being with my grandmother was like, it's okay. Everybody spills. It's no big deal. Like things like that I then carry over with my son where I'm like, it's okay. Everybody spills. And he said this the other day out loud. He spilled something and goes, it's okay. Everybody spills. And I'm like, oh my God, it's working. Like the internal dialogue, the dialogue that I'm using is becoming his internal dialogue, which is why I get to dial up the compassion, dial up the patience, dial up all those things. And the same is true of business. So I think trying on an alter ego is a really powerful way to manifest because it just tells us, what do I need to dial up energetically that I already have within me, but I just need like almost like a reference point to dial it up. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I remember I had Elena Cardone on the show, and she talked a lot about that, which was like you visualize the thing. What do you want? A lot of people do vision boards or whatever. What's the thing? Like, let's say you want to be a doctor or whatever it is. What's the thing? And then you basically have to start being that thing now. You don't wait till you have to start acting and doing the thing.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
Right. To become the thing.
Yeah.
Right. You have to do that. And it made me think kind of like what you were talking about. Alter egos almost made me think of like an actor. Right. And like an actor, they got a role and they study their role and then they become that person.
Yes. What are their belief systems? Like, what would this person do? How would they react to this person doing that? Absolutely. Yeah. We're in a sense just kind of acting.
Yeah. And think about like, who is the best version of yourself? I've thought about this. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but I've thought about this. Like, who is that person? Like, I guess, when you go, to heaven, right? Like, what's that version look like? Does that person remember the flaws? I don't know. Because if you're up there, maybe you do, maybe you don't. What does your soul in heaven look like?
I love that.
right?
Yes. So good.
Does it remember all the crap you went through? Does it remember? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I'm going to ask my pastor that.
Yeah, do it.
You know what I mean? What are your thoughts?
I think it's so powerful.
Do you think your soul, you go to heaven, do you think you remember the crap you went through down here?
I think we have a life review.
Or maybe we have a different lens on what
Yeah, I
right?
think we have a different lens, and I think we have a life review of everything that we've moved through, all the lessons that maybe we didn't learn, all the ones that we did, and we review it, and then we're like, cool, that's what I learned on this side, and then you move on to the other side where it's just pure light and love, which I think is so powerful. And so I think to your point, you think about like the bracelets that we used to wear when we were younger. What would Jesus do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's try on Jesus for an alter ego today. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
how would Jesus handle this situation?
Right.
Things like that I think could be really powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's that best version of yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Are they, or when something, bad happens, are they drinking?
Mm.
Are they smoking?
Mm.
Are they doing these things, or are they like, how are they, calm, cool, and collected? How are they handling situations?
Yes.
So yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a free gift for the audience called the 5-minute energy reset. Talk to me about this 5-minute energy reset.
Yeah.
And how do they get a hold of it?
For sure. Yeah. So, and to your point right before where you were talking about shifting of the energy, I think something that I ask myself all the time, is my peace more important than being right about this thing?
That is such a good question.
You know what I mean? Because we want to be right so bad, but is my peace more important than having to be right about that? Always. I want to feel peace today, even if the person doesn't agree with me.
And another thing on that, I love that you said that, because we're in a space and time and age where everybody is so combative.
Yes.
And everybody wants to be right. And everybody's so triggered. And if you don't think the way I think, then you're wrong. And and we got trolls online, and we got just, I mean, hell, we're in an election year. We see it. If you don't think the way I think, and it's like but two things can be right at the same time.
100%. Absolutely. There can always be two truths. We're looking at it through our own lens. And I find that to be like, let me just honor my peace. I don't need to convince anyone of anything.
Right.
I can just be at peace with my truth and let that be okay. And if someone else has an issue with it, then that's what they get to unpack. I don't have to take that in and have that be my own.
And stay curious.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. Like with this podcast, it's been great for me because I get to talk to a lot of different types of people and different perspectives. And you know what? Not everybody's got the same beliefs that I do, but it allows me to stay curious, because somebody may come on this show and maybe thinks completely different from me.
Yes.
But we're going to have a cordial, nice conversation. I want to be curious about it. Like, hey, where is that coming from? Like, I want to learn more about it. Like, I might not have to agree with it, but
exactly.
But I want to learn about it.
Yeah.
Let me just be curious.
Yes. Okay. So I think we get so tripped up because we think we're all supposed to be cookie cutter versions of each other. And it's like, what is that about? Like, we all came here to be completely unique. We all came here with completely unique gifts, and we're meant to give these gifts away to the collective. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we were given these gifts to give them away. And so I think that's what's something that we forget sometimes is we're like, let me fit into this box. Let me be a cookie cutter version of my mom, my neighbors, my best friend. And it's like, we're not honoring our truth. We're not honoring our gifts. And I think it's time for us to start to honor that.
That's good. And I got some recommendation for anybody thinking about, like, that's getting polarized by this election. Okay. Because I've been there. Okay. Seriously, I'm speaking to myself on this one.
Yeah.
I just had this thought, like, okay, so we got Democrats and Republicans. Okay, cool. And right now, you're going to war. Okay, cool. But how do you view, and this is your neighbor, by the way, this is your neighbor. How do you view somebody that's not your neighbor? How do you view someone that isn't even American? Right? Like, if you're going to view somebody with a different belief system who's American, then how are you viewing somebody that lives in, Germany or, just any other country? Like, I don't look down on those people.
Right.
If I don't look down on those people, why would I look down on my Americans for believing something different from me?
Yeah.
That's all 100%. It is.
100%.
They just believe something different.
Yep.
And that's okay. I try to find out why. Like, where's the motivation? Where's it coming from? What were their life's the things that happened to them throughout their life that caused them to have these beliefs? Because I know where mine come from.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, and not at a place of trying to change their mind about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm just curious. Like, stay curious.
Yeah, that is the medicine. Just be in curiosity, even as like specific and intimate as like with a partner. Just stay curious. You know what I mean? Like, interesting point of view. Can you unpack? Like, maybe don't say it in these terms, but can you unpack that for me? Like, tell me more. I'm curious about that. It's very interesting. Me and my husband had like it was like 3 months ago, kind of a charged conversation, and I just grabbed his hands and I looked him in the eyes, and I'm like, still listening to what he had to say, and you could tell he wanted to kind of pull away a little bit, but there was a difference in like connection when I was like fully immersed in there with him. I'm like, I want to understand, and I want you to understand me too. It made the conversation de-escalate so quickly. And it's very rare that we get into those conversations, but like just to hold that space and just to like I'm here with you. It's okay that you have a difference in opinion. I still love you. Like, I still love you. So let's just talk about this. Let's come to something that will work for both of us here.
And that's what we need here in this country.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Like, you think of husband and wife. You're not always gonna agree.
For sure.
But you're one flesh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Same thing here with America. Democrats, Republicans, but we're one country, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you don't have to agree, and do you always have to be right? Again, do you have to be right? Like,
I'd rather be peaceful than right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't mean to get into politics. I was just using that as an analogy
I think
because
that's fair.
we're in that season. We're in that season. But okay,
Absolutely.
so talk to me about the 5-minute energy reset. For those getting triggered right now because we're talking about.
Yeah, they're like, I need to unpack that and release it. Yeah. So this is something that I talked about before. So this is that for the high achievers that have only 5 minutes in their day to cleanse and clear your energy. And what that means is you're just like, if someone was in a bad mood and you were around them and you felt like you had a piece of that still within you, clear it out of your body. Like, I just guide you through it. It's really simple, 5-minute visualization. I'm clearing your energy. It just allows you to release the low vibrational energy or the thoughts that aren't serving you and protect your energy again, so that when someone comes at you and they're really charged, you can start to recognize that's not mine, that's theirs. It's not wrong, but it's just not mine. And so it really starts to help us not take in other people's emotions and come up with more creative solutions for things. So it is my gift to humanity. So I absolutely 10 out of 10 recommend downloading that. It's going to be such a game changer for your life, your family, your job, everything. And
they get that at ChristinaDeering.com. Is that where they pick that up?
Yeah, there should be a link in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We'll make sure to get that in the show notes.
ChristinaDeering.com. They can go there too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Christina, thank you so much for
You're so welcome.
being on the show. This is good. I didn't get to all my questions here, but I'm sure we'll have you on again. Will you come back on the show?
I would love to. Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because I love this stuff. This stuff is fun to me, honestly. I want to learn how to be closer to my best self.
Yeah, same.
That's what I'm striving towards, and all of these little things. It's all the little things, I think, that make the difference. So
100%. Yeah, I think to not discount the little things. Those are the ones that all add up to the big thing.
Yeah. Discipline compounded daily equals transformation. And if you're disciplined with the little things, it's oftentimes those little things that compound.
Yes.
And equal that transformation. So thank you again so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Guys, that's the show. It's all about who you know. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Who You Know Show podcast. My name is Trevor Houston, and if you've enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing wherever you listen and leave us a positive review to help us keep the mics on in the studio. Until next week, that's the show. It's all about who you know.